What's going on, YouTube? Out here in the dirty garage, and well, earlier today I needed to use, well, I didn't need to, but we needed to make use of my table grinder here, which professionally welded onto, I don't know what the heck that is, like a truck rotor, like a Mack truck rotor, or I don't know what the heck that is. Actually looks kind of like a gear of some sort, but welded to a big metal pole, and a nice little platform on here, and the grinder was sitting on there. I needed to use this earlier, and it just kept tripping the GFCI, not the breaker, and it didn't blow a fuse. I don't have fuses. But it was immediately tripping the GFCI, and my cousin actually was saying that, those crappy GFIs, I always get rid of them and stuff, but as much as I despise, well, I don't really despise them, I really respect them. I don't like how they fail on. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I did other videos about GFCIs and circuits and stuff like that. But a GFCI is a ground fault circuit interrupter. It's one of those ones with the little test reset buttons in the middle of it. I'll show you one in a minute. That's a GFCI, and what I don't like about them is whenever they fail, sometimes they fail on, so you're still getting power, but you're not ground fault circuit interrupted, and I don't like that. I like the other ones, like the breakers, I trust them, or the like 1 foot cord, extension cord type dealies. That's what I actually use. But anyway, so I already actually went ahead and figured out what was wrong with this thing. But I figured I'd just go ahead and show the steps that I took to figure it out. So right off the bat, this is a Tradesman 6-inch bench grinder with work lights. Woo! They're actually right here. I don't even know why. Well, I get why you would need them, but I would just much rather have a fluorescent right above it. So the first thing, when it was tripping, first thing I thought, went right over here. It's a 1/2 horsepower. It runs 3.5 amps at 115 volts, obviously. In the United States, we do 115, not 230 or 40. So it's 115 volts at 3.5 amps. That's not that high of a load. Like most drills and saws and stuff would have a higher amp load than that. So, and I run that off of the same circuit. I just did the other day. So 3.5 amps times 115, that's like just over 400, 402.5, I think, watts that would be pulling. That's really not that many for a 115 circuit. Anything else of interest on here? Yeah, the manufacture day, it says 89A. So I'm guessing that is August, April, something like that, of 1989. So just to give you a little idea on how old this is. Alright, so, like I said, we've got this goofy black cord here that it came with. And I inspected the entire thing. Looks absolutely fine. Still has its ground prong on there. Everything looks good. The prongs themselves are a little bit bent there, you can see. But overall, in general, good shape. Sheathing looks all good, all the way to the motor. So, let's go from there. Alrighty, we're over here on my super sterile, dirty carpet that I park my quad on. You can see the tire right here. Anyway, this is a GFCI. You can see we've got the test and the reset button here, and or actually, yeah, test, reset button, and that would be your normal outlet right here, which would actually have a cover plate there where the screw goes right in, whereas these guys have a screw up top and a screw down below, and all of this is wide open with the test and reset button. That's GFCI. And if you're wondering, yes, this is still my setup from back how a circuit works, so if you missed that, go back and check that out. It'll be in my electrical playlist. Alright, let's get on to this motor, which is right here on my super sterile work area. So anyway, very first thing I noticed was we've got this plate right here on the front with the on-off switch. Again, this thing was tripping, because one of the things I thought right off the bat, it's an old motor. I figured it was locked up. So very first thing I do is make sure it's free. Look at that. Beautiful. Spins nice. Yeah, I mean the bristles over here on this side are actually hitting, so it's slowing it down a little bit, but otherwise beautiful play on there. So one of the things is it's a motor, so it's going to have a capacitor. my very first thought was maybe the capacitor was blown. And I'm thinking these lights are blown and they're on the same circuit. Actually, flip this over again. You can actually see we've got our main power here cord, which screws in there, and it goes in, it connects with everything, the two lights come out. Here's each of the two lights that are going out to the lights. So one of my thoughts was the lights are probably bad. But then I kept thinking, it's tripping before anything is turned on. Obviously, the lights are not going to stay on all the time. They have to be hooked up to that switch. Same with the motor. It's not going to be trying to run. So it sounds like some sort of what the heck? I totally ghosted on that. Like a dead fault, just straight to ground kind of short. So what do we do in that case? Flip it over. Got 4 feet on the bottom. They're kind of squashed up because they were on that stand, and they're flat or Phillips head. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop out these 4 screws and look on the inside, see what we got. Alrighty, now we've got all 4 of the feet and their screws taken off. Now we can remove this little metal panel. It's the only thing separating the insides. Well, from the outside. It's the only cover. So I've already taken out these 2 pretty rusty screws here that are in this cord that we're holding the cord in. So this is the main power cord coming in. So let's go ahead and find out where everything goes. Got your black wire right here. That goes straight over to your switch. Remember our on-off switch. So got this all held up with a piece of pipe. So that goes right over to our on-off switch, and then it comes off of our on-off switch and couples right here with a white and a black wire. Which, yes. So, yeah, this is always very funny. So everything off the motor, as you can see right here, are white wires. Everything's white. So in this cluster right here, where the gray wire, so we got our main power coming in, going to the switch. When you turn the switch on, it connects power through here, and it goes to, the 2 black are the 2 lights. So the 2 lights turn on with the switch. The other white is the actual electrical motor, and it goes down into that hole right there where all the white wires go. All of the motor wires are white, so it goes down there. Somewhere in there it comes back up and goes through this cluster of white wires, which is also connected to our neutral on our way in, and our ground is grounded out over here on the case. So, the other notable thing is our capacitor over here. This is what makes your motor run. Now, why do you need a capacitor? Well, to think about it, these wheels on here, they have to spin at a pretty fast volume. Well, it can't do that very good from a dead start. So what a capacitor is it's kind of like a battery kind of thing. It's not. But it's way more complicated than a battery, or probably not as complicated as a battery, but it is to me. I don't exactly know how they work, but this is like your little supercharger that makes it go from dead stop, your motor that is, from dead stop to probably about half the running speed that it normally would run. Maybe even less than that. It just gets it going. And kind of... Nah, it's not kind of like jumping your 5-speed manual transmission in your car, but kind of like one of those things where you kind of get a, if you're in, I don't know, say 4th gear, you're not going to be able to take off, but if you downshift to 2nd, you could probably go ahead and limp your thing, limp it to start going, and then you can actually go. It's kind of like one of those things. It's nothing like that. That's a horrible, horrible example. But whatever, I gave it a go. And I'm not going back because I already went that far. So most of these wire connectors have electrical tape on them wrapped around. This is one right here. It's a white wire that you can see here going back into the motor, and it comes out to the capacitor, and it takes one of those wires. The other one over here is another white wire that goes into the motor, and it goes to the capacitor. So at one point, a wire comes out to connect to the capacitor, another one goes back to the motor to get it going. That probably goes to the start windings of the motor, which are, there's usually 2 separate windings, a start winding and then a run winding on a motor, an electric motor, if you know. That is nothing like a gas engine. That would be an engine. But anyway, yeah, this is just motor. But anyway, Boy, this is a really long video already. Alright, anyway, so how did I start off? Well, first off, I started off and it was tripping the GFCI every single time that it was plugged in. The power was not applied according to the switch. So the very first thing I did was this main power wire coming in and going to the switch. That does not want to come off with my hand while I have a hand on the camera. The sheathing came off. Yeah, I'll put this back on. Not that it matters. So I went ahead and disconnected this thing. This is your main hot wire. This is, well, your main hot wire coming in. This is your 120 volts coming in to your, well, to the whole system via your power cord. So I disconnected that and let it dangle. Last time the plastic sheathing stayed on, so I didn't really have to worry about it, but made sure it was clear of all obstacles all around it, so it wasn't near touching anything. And then I went ahead and plugged it in and it tripped again. So next step, I jumped over here to the neutral. You can see this is the neutral coming in on the cord. You got your hot, where your power, and 120 volts, 240 is different, but 120 volts, you got your power coming in. Usually it's your black wire or your red wire. Usually the red's only using 240, and it'll be red and black, but usually it'll be your black wire, like in cars and stuff when you're doing DC, it's usually your black wire, but that's your power wire. And then your neutral, where your electricity goes back, because it has to form a loop. And that's why if you cut out one of these two, it's not going to work. It needs that loop to go all the way around, go in, do its work, come back around, and go back to the electrical company where it came from. It's got to have this neutral. So second thing I did was I took off this little tiny little wire nut here, and I separated this neutral, which is pretty much everything. The only other thing from the main power is this ground wire right here that's hooked up. That should not do anything. Crazy things are going on if that is affecting anything. So what I did was take these. Obviously, I am paranoid enough. I do not touch them or keep them in my hand like I'm doing right now. Way too paranoid for that. I would let them fall, make sure that they have a gap all around them. They're not going to be touching, say, this wire right over here. Actually, I put the wire nut back on that thing and got it out of there. But made sure that bare wire and that one wasn't bare, but made sure they weren't touching anything. Then I went ahead and reapplied power. And at that point, it tripped again. So nothing is hooked up, and it tripped. It's a bad power cord. I don't know why this power cord is bad, but it's a piece of crap. It's got to go. So it was that easy. So from there, let me reach back here. So from there, I said, well, I need another power cord. I've got another power cord sitting around. Grab that sucker. It is just this goofy little white power cord here. That is from, it's got the little 90-degree plug there. That is from my, what the heck were they called? I haven't even seen one in years. A power strip. Remember those power strips way back in the day? Everybody, it was like quite the craze. Well, mine actually caught on fire, and that's just a little burnt soot on the outside of the sheathing. That didn't actually penetrate or anything like that. But it actually melted into my carpet, the actual like power strip thing. So the whole cord was fine, so I saved it and I grabbed it. So first thing I did was I went ahead, I grabbed a male adapter here for my hot side, and that way I can plug it right there into the switch here. And then I'd probably have, where'd the original cord go? Oh, it's right here. Anyway, it's still in. It's got a little eyelet on there. Let me see, I can probably just go ahead and take that off left-handed like. It's gonna bind. The shadows and stuff. Everything's going everywhere. The screwdriver's stuck. Alright. Well, you can see it's an eyelet. I don't really have one of them, but if you see right here, it's got one of these goofy little things, which is like a little collar that goes at the bottom. And the screw screws into that. So you can put a wire right in there and it wraps right around, makes good contact and everything, so I don't have to worry about that. So that takes care of my ground. My neutral here, right here, I am just going to go ahead and connect it right back with this cluster of neutrals right here, but I'm not going to use this standard little wire nut that came with it. Going to upgrade. Look at that, bigger yellow wire nut. So we're going to go ahead and use that thing. So let me go ahead, wire it up. I'm going to actually pull that one out of here. Actually, I can do that right now. Oh, you're gone. Old one completely out. I need to salvage that screw for the ground and wire my new one up. I'll go ahead and do that, and I'll be right on back. And let's see if we can fire this thing up. Alright, here we are back. So we've got a whole new cord here. It's white. I've got my black wire here on my male connector that I already used as my test subject, and I plugged it right in here. It doesn't have sheathing on there, but it's not that big of a deal. It's not really picking up, but between this sheathed connector here and this unsheathed, there's actually a plastic lip right in here to prevent the two from touching, so it doesn't just turn on, especially when there's extreme angle being pulled this way like it is. Anyway, but that's not a big deal. I upgraded my my little tiny little wire nut here to a much bigger wire nut. There were 4 wires, so what I did, nice little tip, I don't know if this is actually a tip, this is what I did. I took 2 of the wires and I put them, you know, braided that, or not braided, but twisted them together on each. So there was 2 twisted wires, and then I put the wire cap on the 2 twisted wires instead of trying to line up all 4. Another thing is, whenever you're done, always pull on each individual wire and make sure it's not going to pop out of the wire nut, because you're just wasting your time if you're not. Over here, probably the sloppiest work of all is my ground wire here. It's just kind of in that little collar there, and it's kind of clamped down, just, you know, with a screw. Not my best work, but hey, whatever, man. There's a crack in the freaking frame right here. I mean, it's not the greatest junk here. But anyway, what I did here before, where'd my thing go? I had this, and it was a hole drilled so this whole thing could fit inside and screw on. Well, I hate these stupid little plastic thingies here. I actually already took it off and put it back on. That's why it's all marked up. I hate those stupid little things, and I'm not going to reuse it. I tried it out on this cord, which is a little bit thicker, and it didn't want to fit. It barely wants to fit on this cord. So I was like, heck with this, it's gone. Instead, what I did was, there was already a hole right there. I grabbed my little air, I don't know what the heck this thing is, my little air grinder type dealy, and I went in here on that hole and just went ahead and reamed it out just a little bit. I don't know, probably did like 5-6 revolutions around the outside of it, and it cleared it up, where before the threads of this Romex connector, I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, Romex connector, it looks like that, but the threads on that thing, it did not want to go through. It didn't want to thread into. It just wanted to like grind off the threads. It was that much. Just a couple rounds around there with this little air grinder, and bang, this thing fit perfectly right through. I could put the nut on the back side and not thread it into the housing. I could actually use it the way it was supposed to, and it's locked down, and now this cord is not going anywhere. So if anybody walks into the cord, that's why they put these on there. It's well, that and to stabilize the electrical line because it's vibrating. That's more important with heavier amperage things and higher voltage. But with lower voltage, like a lamp, they usually just tie the cord in a knot on the inside, so you can't just yank it out and pull the connectors all out and stuff. And as you can see, it's just pressed in like this. So anyway, I'm doing all this stuff and playing with it. We are live right now. I do have this thing plugged in. And since it is at a very awkward angle right now, and that's not very safe, we're going to go ahead and test it. Look, light even works. It is rotating. Okay, well, since it's not really attached to anything, and it's continually moving, I don't know if that's really picking up. No, it's slowed down enough, it's not moving. But anyway, it works. So how about that? This light's all bent up and stuff, I got to fix that. But got to keep my hands away from the moving material while it's, well, moving and not secure to anything. But anyway, that's it. So now all I have to do is kill the power and then go ahead, put my metal plate back on here, the little feet, put those guys back on there, reattach it to the stand, and now I have a working bench grinder on a stand. Once again, I always thought I did, but apparently it's been dead this whole time. So, alright, well, thanks for hanging out with me, checking what's going on over here. Got some electrical stuff going on tonight. Didn't get around to hitting up the Super Hive video. They are still growing. It's still going good. That will be coming out probably tomorrow. I don't even know when this is coming out. I assume Monday. But, yeah, we'll be throwing up that super hot pepper tomorrow. Probably get around to hitting up the lava rock aquaponic garden and stuff like that. So, if you don't know what I'm talking about, check out all my different playlists. Got all kind of things from working on electrical stuff like this, playing with this quad over here. Look, it's a tire. And, you know, planning and growing and all that stuff. So, if you want to check out all my playlists, hit that subscribe button, come back, check out all my other videos, give me a thumbs up, throw a comment down below, do all that fun, happy social media stuff down below, and I will catch you in the next video where maybe I'm fixing something, or maybe I'm just growing something. We'll find out then, won't we? Later.